Hello everyone, it's Andrea and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to bring you a layout, a single page layout, and I am going to work on a layout based on these two photos of two of my daughters. We took a trip to the city and saw Hamilton, and we were in Times Square, and I captured these really graphic photos of them, graphic patterns and colors, and I just thought that they were fantastic with all of the details of the ever-changing LED billboards there. And so I decided that it would be really wise to create a travel themed layout. This is one of our stencils. I hope that you can see it. This one has lots of travel elements on it, but I'm going to focus on the little city skyline down here. These photos, like I said, and then have you seen our It's the Little Things specials? There are all different components, but basically they're all built around these little 6-inch pads of paper, and they're lots of fun. There are 3 different bundles that you can buy. One is a card making bundle, one is a scrapbooking bundle, and one is a mini album bundle. And they all have different elements, but the paper pad pretty much stays the same. I think there are 2 different versions of the stickers though. The card one is different than the 2 scrapbooking ones. There are also, in those bundles, there are chipboard elements, and there are also stamp sets. So I've just pulled out a few that I think are applicable, and we'll see where this layout goes. Now, I love 6x6 squares of paper to work with. And the reason that I love them so much is that they're so versatile. You can cut them into any size. You can cut them into rectangles and squares, and cut those squares into triangles. There's just so many possibilities. So I've decided that I'm going to start with just a white daisy cardstock base. I selected 4 6x6-inch squares to complete this layout with. And we had this very dotty kind of rainbow pattern. Basically, I just cut 2 inches off of each of these squares. We've got this really bold black with white polka dots pattern. Put that little piece there. Definitely hanging on to these pieces. I'm not going to be throwing those away. We have this bright orangey color. We'll put that down. And then we also have another really graphic-y kind of paper, all different rainbow colors. But between the blacks and all the different primary colors, I really felt like this really would work well for these photos. So I have my T-square all lined up, and I'm just going to place the orange down here, the bottom right quadrant of my layout. And right next to it, I'm going to put down this rainbowy graphic. I don't want to call them polka dots. They're like sketchy polka dots, okay? And then I'll be able to just build from there. I've just cut a couple of little strips of cardstock here. They're 1/4-inch pieces of cardstock. And I think that they're going to work really well. I want to use our stencil to create a city skyline up here. I'm actually going to work just a bit backwards. I'm going to rotate this and work upside down so that this way the stencil is closer to me. And I am simply going to line this up right to the edge of that black cardstock. We're doing black on black, so if it hits that little edge, it's okay. I'm just going to bring in a tiny bit of some painter's tape here to help hold this all down in place. That should do it. I have just my black ink pad. I've got a blending brush. And I'm just going to create little circles here. And we're going to end up with the cutest little city skyline. These stencils come 3 to a pack. And there are all different themed ones in this travel one. You've got some wilderness. You've got some city. Got maps, a suitcase. They're just really fun. Just wanted this to be a little varied in height. And there we are. We have our city skyline. Isn't that fun? Next, I think we can start putting in our design elements. We're gonna lay down our photos and see how we like those. I think I'm going to do them something like this. Now let's start adding the title and the page elements. And to do that, I definitely want to bring in the die cuts. There's so many good titles on here. We have The Good Life, which I think would be a great one, or Shine Bright. So let's punch out, let's see. Punch out The Good Life and we'll see how that looks on this layout. We're losing little butterflies. You'll see that these punch out so easily. So great to work with when they just are easy. I do want to bring in a few of the stickers. So let's see what we have here. We have picture, lovely moments, smile, happy memories. We've got great borders. Happy, happy, happy. I do like that one. I think that's really cute. There's also me and you. That's a definite. We have to use that one, don't you think? So let's get a foam dot for that. Up here might be a really good spot for that. I think it pops here. Happy, happy, happy. Another great one. I also think I want to add a little bit of stamping down here. So let's see what we've got. And in fact, I think I'm going to do this the hard way. I think I want to put a couple of rows of black elements. One of them I really think is going to mimic some stitching. We have this brand new stamp set here. And wow, this one's great. I think this one might be for the mini album, but it's going to work really well on this, I believe. So here are the elements that I'm interested in. There is this polka dot border, has 2 different sizes, and the block that I have, I know is a bit oversized. I'd be much better off with a thinner block. So I'm just brand new stamp. So I'm just hitting this along my wrist. Let's create this illusion of some faux stitching right across the bottom here. Times Square is such a fun place. It's just especially beautiful to look at night. And if I took any of these photos just a second later, my view would have been completely different. And that's what I love about it. It's just always changing, always unique. And I really don't think that we're going to be able to see this across the black. So I'm going to start with this side here, trying to figure out how to stamp without getting this on the photo. So I think the easiest way is just to lift it. So there we go. Let's just see what happens if we stamp over here. I don't think that you're going to see it. Another option I have is to always go and just put white on top, but I think that'll get lost too. And then I think maybe it would be fun to pick up this little border. That's a little scallopy border. Once again, I'm just going to rub it along my arm to get some of the newness off. It'll help our ink adhere to our stamp, and we are going to go across the bottom down here. It's funny how a little black ink can change a layout. It's so fun to be able to use stamps over and over again to create these fun little accents on pages. So as you can see, I decided to lay down the Shine Bright title. I just think that's a better fit. It fits better within this block and it doesn't travel over onto the black coat here in the photo. And it really describes Times Square. Now, I'm not going to glue this down on camera, but if you wanted, here's a little trick. I'm losing a little bow. I'm going to set that off to the side. You could actually use this negative piece here as a guide to show you where to line up your letters if you weren't sure on how to get them straight on your own. Another thing that I would suggest is using the actual dots on the layout here and using those as a guide to get those, get the tops all straight here. It's up to you which way is easier for you, but I do think that this particular saying works beautifully for the city lights here, and I hope you agree. The other thing that I do want to add is I want to come over here and I'm going to use some of these fun accents on the mini album. We have Remember How Cool, Fun Times This Day. I think this How Cool is going to work really well I think that needs to go up here. And then I think these black starbursty elements, which I find right in here, are going to be just so fun. They just look like little bursts of energy. And this city is so alive that I just feel like it's the perfect complement to what we're trying to achieve here. So maybe one down here. And I think that's it. Maybe if you wanted, you could bring in some sequins or some colored enamel dots that you have left over in your stash. Before we go, I just wanted to show you a couple of the details that I didn't actually film, but I thought about adding after. Now, what I did, if you've ever seen the New York City skyline, or probably any city for that matter, you know that it's not just like one dimensional. And I felt by just going over with the black ink just one time, it just didn't have the layers of avenues and streets worth of buildings. So I actually went ahead and used both of those city stencils and went over a second time with the black ink. And I went a little darker and a little lighter in some places, because if you're looking at this from the Hudson side, you know, you sometimes get like mist rising up. So anyway, it's just by giving those 2 layers of stenciling, I really felt like that mimicked the skyline much better. I have the Shine Bright sticking with that title. And then I dug into my stash. I decided to go stash diving and bust out that stash. And I have these cats and bats dots. And boy, they really work well for this paper collection. I know that this green is not quite the same, but you know, even that would work. It doesn't exactly match the green that's here, but close enough that I think it would work had I decided to bring those in. I just really wanted to stick with the orange and black tone. So I've just put some enamel dots down, and I've treated each of these little squares or rectangles here like a little quadrant, and they each get a little bit of embellishment. And I really like the way it turned out all in all. So I hope that you do too. Most of all, I hope that you are inspired to create with the It's the Little Things collection. I'll put that product link down below in this video's description, as well as everything else that I've used. And if you've not yet done so, please consider hitting that subscribe button right there and become one of my subscribers so you don't miss out on any of my future projects. Have a creative day.